Okay. Right. Welcome everyone to the Planning and Highways Committee meeting today, 12th of June. We've got no members of the public, so I'm not reading all this, but can I remind everyone to put their phones on silent or turn them off. Thank you. So, agenda item 1, apologies for absence.
No apologies for absence.
Agenda item 2, disclosure of interest. To deal with any disclosure by members of any disclosable pecuniary interests and interests other than pecuniary interests as defined under the Seaford Town Council Code of Conduct and Localism Act 2011 in relation to matters on the agenda.
Yeah.
No public participation. So we move on to planning applications. Planning applications received in the week commencing Monday the 12th of May. LW/24/0797 9 Sutton Park Road. Construction of a temporary, is it Shisha bar to the rear garden for seasonal use, including food preparation unit containing a shawarma, electric grill, electric pizza oven, covered wooden shelter and seating area. Who would like to lead on this application? Councillor Borman.
Thank you, Chair. When I looked at this, I thought, do you know what, that's something great food-wise for the town. It's something we haven't got, and I like shawarmas, so I would quite welcome it. But then when I started looking at the planning application, I'm like, this is in the back garden, and then because you can't see, and it is surrounded by the library and Hawksley House and others, and it is, I then looked at, yes, Google Earth here, and the garden area looks very, very small. And then when it says that this is going to have tables and seating for 24 people, and all this equipment, and obviously the people that need to serve and clear and everything else, I actually think it is far too big what they're wanting to do, and I think it's a too enclosed area for it. So I'm actually not too happy, and I'd like to hear what the rest of the committee would say on it as well.
Councillor Hanlon.
Yes, similar Councillor Borman. Initially this would be good for something new in Seaford, but once you started going into the more details of where it is and the fact it's going to be on the back of, say, Horsley's, for example, who are going to be overlooking it, and obviously there's people from Horsley's who have put in complaints about it, I'm not really that happy either, because it's, even though it said all about smoke and everything else, I think position-wise it's the wrong place for it. If it's right at the back of the properties, I just think it's the wrong location for this particular item. When it's showing on the picture there, it's a very confined space. And even though, but the thing is, it's also going to be from what? Hang on, I've got extra notes this side. Sorry. Even though, but it's from 10 AM to 7 PM, which is quite a long time. But interestingly enough, it did suggest to be open from the 1st of April to the 30th of September. But it did say pre-application found that these spaces are encouraged by local authorities. No alcohol, tobacco use will be allowed. But I think, you know, even if there's lots of people there, there's going to be lots of chatting. So I wasn't, and then also other members have said about pollution and everything else. So I think it's the wrong place for it.
The actual area is 42.27 square metres. So I'm not very good at visualising.
Well, this, sorry, Chair,
yes,
this is,
Councillor Lord.
sorry, I will come in a minute. This is no much short of 10 metres. Well, just 10 metres, and 4 metres is basically from here to the television is. So it's not a large area. And just come in. I wish this applicant had do as much for a franchise on the seafronts. He'd do an absolute ball. Honestly, goodness, this is what we need on the seafront to bring a bit different, apart from hot dogs and sandwiches and cups of tea and whatnot. But it's in the wrong place. And I originally thought absolutely fantastic. Then you look into it, well, do you know what? There's nothing worse than like jilted Jim like me, not being invited to your neighbour's barbecue, and everybody over the fence is having a barbecue and making a noise, and you say that jilted Jim not been invited. Well, also the residents around there, they've not been invited to a barbecue. Essentially, it's a barbecue for want of better words. So they've not been invited to it, and I can see a lot of trouble ahead. Well, if we do propose this, that and also I thought to myself, well, the first when you go to like a gymkhana or this motorfest, the first thing you smell is somebody cooking onions and hot dogs, and it's about a mile away on a field. So therefore, let's say, it's in a confined space. So where's the smell going to go? It's got to go somewhere. So it's going to disperse into again a quite confined space, and it's sheltered from because of the large block behind it. It doesn't get a lot of through draft. And if you get a through draft, it's going to blow it somewhere else. Because if Donkeys, which is near there, they've actually got quite a sophisticated extraction system and grease system. So they've got a grease trap and an extraction system, and it prevents smells leaking from there. And then also, well, I just had my hair cut there a couple of times as well. And I thought, well, if I was sat there, I looked some traipsing behind me, and having like a wet shave line, you know what I mean? So I pulled you off. So, brilliant idea, support it 100%. Unfortunately, I wish it's in the wrong place, and I wish to goodness they get a franchise on the seafront and they do this town and power of good. So I'm not particularly happy with this present moment in time.
Councillor Buchanan.
Thank you, Chair. It's just I have a couple of points, if I may. Firstly, what does it mean when it constructs a temporary shisha bar? Is that temporary because it's only for a certain period of the year?
Yeah.
And then next year it will be that same period? Okay.
No, I would assume, sorry, through you, Chair, that it would be, they would have to, we've got temporary structures, which are the Westview Beach Huts. So in our planning conditions, it says when they need to be taken down and put back up. So I would assume that a similar condition would be put on this.
Of course,
Okay, so it's subtly misleading, but...
It did say in the application that they would be removing the grill and everything to store over the winter period. So
Okay,
that's why it's temporary.
Okay. Secondly, by all accounts, actually it's slightly misleading in their statement, because where they say the food prep equipment supplies warrant, no mechanical air extraction is required, and there's no danger of contaminant gases, smoke or carbon dioxide being released. And that may very well be correct for the electric stoves, but by all accounts, unfortunately, the expert believes that non-tobacco hookah products expose people to the same amount of carcinogenic toxins found in tobacco hookah. Now, whilst I'm a smoker, and it's not against the law to smoke tobacco, you would be getting a lot of this stuff. Apparently, one hookah thing is equivalent to about 10 cigarettes in half an hour or something. So if you've got lots of people smoking all at the same time, that's a lot. So it's not clear, those aspects of it aren't clear from their statement. Again, you'd almost need a health warning on the side, if you see what I mean, as people have on their cigarettes. But yeah, I suspect that that's not a specific reason for not agreeing to it. However, the amount of carcinogenic toxins and blah 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 that might actually be released is unquantifiable, I think, at this stage. And down at the beach, that's a different matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it wouldn't be the same. So yeah, I have the same view. I thought, because wandering around certain places, I mean, Marrakesh, there's one every 20 feet, and people are enjoying it, and they're generally outside, open air. As this one is not quite in that same category. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this just for the moment.
Councillor Hammond.
Well, Chair, you expected me to... Sorry, I got a bit delayed with the day job a little bit. You expect me to say something, wouldn't you? As you know, I mean, you really got to wander some places like Leonard on Sea or even bits of Brighton and Hove, and you do see areas where the paraphernalia, I don't know if Councillor Bournemouth can enlighten me, is it equivalent to like vaping in a way, or I don't know if you...
I've never tried it, I don't know.
Well, yeah, but do you put a vaping kit in it, you see what I mean? I mean, it looks a bit... I mean, it's a by the by, I don't know if it's retaining a little bit of the smoking side, but if
we did get this.
But I think the owners of the barbers, he wants something to sort of it's mainly for the people, for his his clients are waiting to get their hair cut. Partly, I think it's partly doing that. So they're really going into, because some of them might have to wait half an hour, whatever. And if there's an opportunity to serve a tea or coffee at the back or something, I can understand that philosophy. But extending it into a sort of proper cafe overall is another issue, if you see what I mean. There's a difference, isn't there, between what he's trying to achieve and what's possible. So the idea may, but I don't know why I wouldn't possibly want to, if I went, I probably wouldn't want to go through, if I was a member of the public walking through and I wouldn't get my hair cut, I probably wouldn't want to cut through at the back. And it doesn't really sort of happen. I mean, a summer, by the way, in their eyes are 6 months, not a few months. Like April to September, 6 months, isn't it? Inclusive. And it doesn't really say what. This is going to be a bit of a covered area. So it's who we want as well. So there's an issue there with the who we want, the length of the summer, the smoking side. I don't know if it's more of a tea, coffee only place. I can understand that. But if once you extended it to barbecue, I don't know how it's going to be managed. The area is small, again with smoking as well, cooking. So there's a lot trying to do in a lot very tight spaced area. But I can understand where some of the other councils come from as well. So that's my thoughts at the moment.
Councillor Lucan, you want to come back?
Yeah, I was thinking further about this, that the fact is, where they're proposing to put it, the people who are around them or in the residence behind them, they're not going to be able to get away from the smoke. Whereas if it was somewhere else, so on the seafront,
yeah,
they can choose to avoid.
Yeah.
But if it's right behind where they are, they're always going to be in that smoke. So that's why another reason I think it's the wrong location for it.
Good idea, Ron.
Yeah. Councillor Ball, you want to come back?
Yeah, thank you. So they do mention they had pre-planning application for this.
Yeah, they do.
And we do know that sometimes when people have mentioned this, they highlight the positive and don't then say what maybe was negative, because they might have said that this is going to be takeaway service only, so there's no seating and there's no all these pipes and everything. So, but we don't know what the pre-planning application was to a degree to agree this. But I'm also mindful that what they've highlighted is the diversity and that Lewes District Council do encourage this. So although from what I'm feeling we all want to object to it, I think we need to be mindful, maybe put some strict conditions in, that if they are mindful to support this, that there are strict conditions more so. The only other thing is it does say that they won't be serving alcohol. No, they say there'll be no alcoholic drinks available. But we do know of restaurants and things that you can't sell alcoholic drinks unless you've got a licence, but you can bring your own. And suddenly, then you can bring your own without a licence, and suddenly that's then another degree in this small area surrounded by all this housing and things, that could be another element. But yeah, I think we need to put conditions in if they're mindful, but object to it, and hopefully it's not.
Chair, I propose we object to this application.
Okay. Does that find a seconder? Councillor Borman? Now, on what are we going to object to it? We need
Well,
some-
I would say, first of all, it's annoyance to neighbours.
Neighbourly? Yeah.
I'd also class it as an old development, getting tables and chairs squeezed into a small area. And I would also say that I would be doubtful very much, this is nothing to do with planning, but what the environmental health will have to say about it as well. So there'll be environmental health conditions, not a planning condition, but that will be involved as well. And it just, so I'm going to say all developments and annoyance to neighbours with regards to noise, regards to cooking smells, and also it's disturbance to people who live in a residential block behind, who happen to be of retirement age, and so it's just generally it's annoyance to neighbours. All developments in a confined space. And there will also be a fire risk assessments as well, because you can't just have one means of exit for something like that. There'll be conditions with regards to the cooking, and so it's just, it doesn't fit its location. So I don't know who plays, so it's like you're trying to shoehorn something into a small location. So I'm going to set class as an old development, and then you and I both know, if this goes through, there'll be so many complaints and upsets that people like you and I say, why did you approve it? And so we're laying ourselves open to a lot of unhappy residents who we're supposed to be representing, as well as individual people who want to basically start a business. This particular individual should be encouraged to set something up on the seafront, where again it's got a passing trade. So I like it, but not yet.
You want to add anything to that, Councillor Bowman?
Only the fact of alcohol drinks, that the fact that can we stipulate that there is not even a bring your own, and the other thing is with the smoking side is so many places is, especially where they're serving food, is no smoking or vaping. Well, from what we've read on these pipes, that they are actually the same harm as smoking and vaping, so that shouldn't be happening in that small contained space either. If that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Rest of the committee, Councillor.
Have we said there's no exclusive access either way, is there, to the site? We haven't mentioned that, have we mentioned that anyway? No exclusive access, you have to go via the hairdressers, don't you?
I think it's sort of.
They've got an alleyway down the side, which is their kind of
Is that for
fire.
the tenants?
Yeah, but they're going to put the bins there.
Oh.
So it's not clear, it's not a clear
So
fire.
it's-
But it's not clear because they do mention that that is a exit.
Yeah, but on the application, I'm sure I read that the waste bins, the commercial waste bins, will be at the side.
Which is the access.
Well, I think it's outside the scope of this, but the clarity for tenants' use of that ground, I'm not sure if they're allowed to do it, I don't know what the tenant agreement is, but I know it's a by-the-by, but they may have use of that area, and that might be disappeared if they're going to change it.
Because the food preparation is going to be at the side as well, isn't it?
The other side.
Yeah.
There's access down from, as you look at the building, the access is on the right-hand side, and then that is kind of through the garden and back round a bit. The side bit, which is on the right there, where they're going to be doing the cooking.
I mean, really, it's unsuitable access through the shop, isn't it? Where the bar
Yeah, you don't want to get muddled up with
Yeah.
hairdressing, really.
So you could add that. And so
Well,
That first one
the
onto your chips,
access-
like, you know.
The access isn't actually through the barber's shop.
It is. It says.
It does
Yeah.
on the actual application.
It says to access. You go through the barber shop to access the rear of the property.
Missed that bit.
Just
Which is why you wouldn't want to be having a shave or a haircut and all these people walking through.
coffee cups or people smoking, yeah.
Yeah.
So I say
I think we've covered
Yeah, I think
most
it's enough there.
It's an interesting one because
No, very
at first I was a bit like this,
but
but,
brilliant. You know,
yeah.
and also they, oh, I can't.
but when you do look at it in detail, it is, you know, what.
Can I just check, sorry, through you, Chair, that, so I've got the objections. In terms of wanting to add anything about any conditions, should LDC want to grant it, I've only noted about the stipulating not bringing out, no alcohol at all means no alcohol at all. Is there anything else?
Just going to say, one of the residents actually quoted about Lewis Local Plan Policy DM20, pollution management, and NPPF Section 8 for providing healthy and safe communities.
Yeah. So really banning the smoking.
Yeah, and it also said British Heart Foundation states that second-hand smoke from shisha pipes is still harmful.
Yeah.
Which is what you said.
And the other one we were looking at, which was the London Borough Council's information on it, where there are lots.
Just thinking about if it were to be granted, I mean, what about, I mean, it's quite 7 days a week. Is that reasonable? Like 7 days a week?
There's
10
no
to
rest for
7?
residents, is there? I mean, you just said.
So would that be a condition that you want to think about suggesting it's weekend only, or I don't know?
The barbershop hairdressers, I think you call it, don't you? Snips hairdressers, I think they do open up every day, including a Sunday, but they only do limited hours on Sunday, don't they? They do like 10 to 3 or something.
Same time every day.
But if they're going to, maybe that's the maximum time, but I'd be reluctant to do it that late if it was on a Sunday or something.
It only opens like 5 days a week, like restaurants, they have 2 days.
No,
Some restaurants have 2 days off, don't they? Or at least 1 day off. Councillor Buchanan.
I think so. The whole environment that this might generate is very unclear. It could be great. It could be awful. Is there any stipulation we can make that says that if, you know, within over a certain period of time, if it's deemed to be really not that good and there's so many concerns about it, that the planning application could be pulled? I mean, I don't know how that might work, but again, we don't know, and what the effects of all these, you know, if you've got 20 people puffing away, the equivalent of a pack of cigarettes in 30 minutes each, you know, that's, you don't know where you're going to stand. And cooking the stuff on the grills and what have you, and whether or not that is a real issue in that confined space. So I
It
think
says 10 till 7, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is 10
It says the shops all, that shop never closes, so.
but it's whether or not there's any limitation one can put on a planning application.
Like a trial basis, sort of,
Yeah.
to obtain more evidence or something.
But that's what we stand there, so.
I think if they're mindful of passing it, that if it could be tried for 1 year or 1 season, and have limit and limit the time, either 6 days or 5 days.
Wednesday to Saturday.
Yeah.
Can you come back? Do you intend to start this season?
Yeah, well, it's when it gets if it gets passed, they'll try it straight away. They'll do it straight away, won't they? I presume.
I mean, they might not set it all up, Chair. So, I mean, they might only do part of it maybe the rest of this season and see what happens.
But it's obviously been in their mind, because the pre-app is 2023.
Oh, I didn't notice that. Oh, well done.
So it's been in their mind for a couple of years. So, right.
So sorry, Councillor Borman suggested a time, like Wednesday, stipulating that Wednesday to Saturday. Is that something we want to put forward, or?
I'm happy to support that.
add that
Yeah,
in.
that's
So we're still objecting to it, but if
If they
they're
really are
mindful to, then let's try and get something
Yeah.
and a trial of a year.
I mean, I prefer it without the smoking, to be honest. But would that work?
Well, then it won't be a shisha then, will it?
It would be like an outside cafe for the, then it would tie up more for the people waiting for the...
But that's where
To
I
get a
think
haircut.
environmental health really needs
Oh.
to come in and look at
Yeah.
all of this with the
Exactly.
fire safety as well,
Yeah, all that side of things.
because of the enclosed area that they're having.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I think we've covered all the angles, so shall we put it to the vote?
I think
So, under all those,
Everything I've got here.
yeah, well, and as on objecting to this application, can I have a show of hands, please? And that's unanimous. Thank you. Thank you. It was an interesting one.
well, we never had one before, have we? That's why.
No.
We need a special clause for it or something, you know.
Right.
it's very hard to think of some of the bigger cows, aren't they?
Yeah. Right, moving on. LW stroke 25 stroke 0277 19 Heathfield Road. This has been decided because there was an application for a lawful certificate. So, and the same applies to LW stroke 25 stroke 02744 for the close for exactly the same thing. That's been, yeah, that's been. So, we go to LW stroke 25 stroke 0276 Orms Marine Parade, conversion of existing garage.
Yeah. Future,
Councillor Law?
yeah, it is what it is. And to be honest, I did on my property in Marine Parade and no planning commission at all, but I shouldn't say that. But it was over 30 years ago. Actually, nobody uses the garage now because it's just too small. So you have a waste of space and you put a lot of stuff in there, like cardboard boxes just next to fall apart and put it in a skip. Or you use it as a habitable room. I think this is a good use for a habitable room. I made my extra kitchen myself, that's a different story. We used to put some across the road there. So I propose and support this application and it's actually enhanced the street scene as well.
Councillor Bowman?
I'd like to object to this application because I can understand wanting to make it a habitable room, but where's the access from that garage into the main property? And because of that, this is not to extend their property, this is for something else. Whether it's kind of an Airbnb or whether it's something, it's got a bathroom, a bedroom, it's got enough space and counters and things that they're showing that they could provide small cooker, sink, microwave to make it a separate property to a degree. Having a doorway through to the main property, then it's an extension, and yes, I could understand. But because of not, and there's no information on what they're trying to use this for, I would actually object to it.
For you, Chair, thanks to Councillor Bull for pointing out that I just assumed being a garage that as this is my garage, well, it all wants to hold it.
I've got Councillor Hunman.
I'm actually quite glad that Councilwoman said that because I was looking, there was loads and loads of pictures and loads of maps, but I couldn't find any details. I haven't looked at it intensely if you have, but I was getting a bit.
This is the one that just stood out and tried to look for everything else, and there's nothing.
No, well, I couldn't work out what it was for, but yes, there was a lack of. There was just loads and loads of pictures, maps, plans, but nothing telling me.
Councillor Buchanan.
There is a degree of difficulty, I think, in getting a correct connection between the garage and the house because they're at different levels. Because what you'll see is there's a staircase from the dining room that goes actually upstairs through the garage. Some other sections or something. But anyway, that's just one thought that it wouldn't be that easy necessarily to create that access between the house and the garage. That that staircase you see actually doesn't go into the garage, it comes
I
up.
think that goes up in, because it's a tower,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it goes
and
up.
I think that staircase goes up,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah, so it does go down. But, and the other thought is, I mean, it may well be, how would one say, thought of as being used for something different. But do we not need some more holiday space in Seaford? I don't know. Just a thought.
Mm.
Because it's right next door, it's surrounded by the cabiny things for holidays and stuff.
We're getting to the stage where we're getting more holiday space and less family living.
That wouldn't be a family living space, though, would it?
Or any living, like.
Yeah.
Do you want to object to, Councillor Lord supported it, but we haven't got a seconder for that. Councillor Hunman.
Yeah, for you, have you got a map of where actually, just remind me again where it really is, the overall picture, just I'm still a bit intrigued by this, I couldn't quite work out what was going on when I was doing a bit of research into it.
As in, like here?
Yeah, so you...
This used to be one bungalow years ago,
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's already been split.
and then it was split, yeah.
So it's probably quite large in those sets, isn't it?
Yeah, I think when it was split, then they built the tower bit.
Yeah.
Remember rightly.
Yeah, you probably could do some sort of holiday accommodation there if you where you pick the location. It was probably fit in a lot of ways, but they should be more open about it, shouldn't they? That's what you're trying to say, Councillor, isn't it? You Chair.
Are you still putting the
I'll
support in?
I'll support it simply because what else are you going to do with it basically? Because the car won't fit in there.
Well, does that find a seconder? Councillor Buchanan. Can I have a show of hands of supporting this application? And those against? Those abstaining? So that is carried. Okay?
I was confused with that one.
Nothing's ever easy, is it?
That's a tricky one,
Right.
That's why I asked for that against this one.
Planning applications received week commencing 19th of May. LW stroke 25 stroke 0139 3 to 4 Church Lane. Conversion of one dwelling into two dwellings. And that is reverting it back to its original. Councillor
I thought this was fine to do. I know we've had hand-drawn drawings, but considering they're just basically blocking up a wall, I thought, well, don't really need to spend expense on architect drawings. So I was quite happy with what they were proposing to do. I did have a very quick look at it before I came in. Yeah.
still got the two front doors.
Still got the two front doors. That's why I wanted
Yeah.
to go quickly go and have a look. Because when I looked on Street View, you get the most weirdest view.
Yeah.
Because it obviously just can't get the
Can't
angle.
quite get down
Can't
there.
the angle because the lane's too narrow.
Mm.
So I thought I'll quickly go and have a look myself. But yeah, I was quite happy with this to support this.
Yeah.
It's making another dwelling.
It's making
Yeah.
another dwelling.
We say,
Okay. Anybody else?
I support this
Councillor
application. Yeah, I support this application. I wouldn't live there myself, but I support the application because, like I said, again, an additional dwelling, which we all know is short on in this town. You know.
Any other comments? So can I have a show of hands of supporting this application? And that's unanimous.
It's like one of my drawings. I've fixed a tape on it and covered it all the way. You know.
Yeah, I never saw that, but I thought, okay,
I've done that before.
it's only filling in a wall, so.
LW stroke 25 stroke 0291, 119 Hythe present, prior notification under the Town and Country Planning, General Permitted Development, Schedule 2, Part 1, Class A, for a single storey rear extension to measure 4 metres in total length, 2.8 metres eaves height and 3 metres total height. Who'd like to lead on this one? Councillor Hanneman.
You also look at why it wasn't permitted development, but I don't know.
Size, it's the size of it.
Is it, even if
Huge. It's the size.
Yeah.
even if it's in the garden and you get no objections, you can still.
It's nearly the double the
that's
the
it.
size of the ground floor level.
I mean, there's still something in the garden already, isn't there? But obviously, the neighbour objected for the light. I don't think that's too much of the issue, but it is quite large for that particular plot. So, it basically almost adds it by 50%, literally, doesn't it?
Who was first?
Well, I'll just trust first. Sorry.
Councillor Olivia Hanneman.
I was just going to say, I guess I was initially confused as well, and then I went and looked at the neighbourhood plan book and I thought, well, there's got to be a reason why. It's size. So I think I would opt to object to this because of the size of it. It's completely against with the neighbourhood plan, the measurements and everything. Not that they listed all the measurements that you should have, but I think one of them was height 2.5 metres and this one height is saying 3 metres.
Yeah.
Councillor Bond.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Because it's prior notification, we just need to ask them for a full planning application. It is very large, and also I used to live just around the corner from it, and the way the sun goes, actually, from the afternoon, sort of lunchtime-ish, they would lose light to the property on the right severely for the size of that building. So I would want to see a full planning application come forward.
So that's your proposal.
It is, yes.
Thank you. So find a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Hanneman. And all those in favour? And that's unanimous. Thank you.
And then we can object to it.
So just as part of that, how does one determine? I mean, I can see exactly what you're saying. I've got my angle out, and that would actually cover the light. It would put a lot of shade on the next door's garden. But what's the rules? What are the rules about that? That's through planning permissions, presumably.
True, so it's called building control.
Building control.
So building control will look at it for, it's called denial of a right of light. And what they do, supposing it's a window there, the bottom corner there, nearest to the building, they project an angle of 45 degrees out. So 45 degrees out to the vertical, and at 45 degrees to the angle. And if a property comes in a certain, I used to off the top of my head, I think it's within 10 foot on 3 metres, it may be deemed as a deprivation of light onto subservient property. But the regulations have changed because properties are getting closer and closer together. So it may have changed, but normally it's an angle of 45 degrees on each corner closest to the property next door, and that will determine if it's an issue with the deprivation of light.
So that would be determined through building control.
Building control will determine that. So it goes to planning, and planning can issue. Building control will look at it, so, well, yeah, it is okay with planning, but actually planning will know that's too close, so they'll refer to building control for the professional advice. So it could come back with a condition like, yeah, you can have it, but not as big because it's deprivation like the property next door. So, although building control are like the Cinderella of actually building properties, you've got immense power when it comes to deprivation of light.
So can we move on?
Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Law. Can we move on to tree works applications? TW/25/0050/TPO 1 Willow Drive.
Thank you, Chair. Well, I'm a bit surprised by this because I'm dealing with what do you call them, the utility companies, and they're going to just we've got some trees on a piece of land we've got, And I don't know whether they're planning for it because they've got statutory rights to cut trees down willy-nilly to provide a safety around the cables. They just do it willy-nilly because unlimited powers like digging a hole up in the road. So I don't know why they need planning for this, and I couldn't
I
understand why.
think this is the applicant, the person who owns it, and not the power company.
Well, I'm saying, so
That the power company doesn't require.
well, in that case then, why is this person doing it? Because they use it as an excuse to cut the tree down around some power cables where any utility company, they do a regular inspection, just do it willy-nilly anyway. So I was a bit of a loss why they put an application in, because utility companies don't need an application. And it's going to cost this fellow, whoever's going to do it, Mr. Glinster, a lot of money. So I'm just at a loss why they want to do it, unless they want to spend something and save the utility companies a few pounds. So I will support it, but I just don't understand the reasoning behind it, unless it's just an excuse to basically pull out the tree by about 15%. So yeah, okay, but why? The utility companies, they'll just do it as a matter of course anyway, if they feel there's any danger to the power cables. And they don't even tell you to come and do it. Because the cables belong to them. It's like BT trespass law and things like that. So, yeah, I'll support it, but then it says a 3 to 4 metre reduction, that's like 12 foot. That's quite a big old hacking off of a tree, that. And it's the wrong time of year, it's the growing season, it should be cut off in November, or in winter at least anyway. Because you're basically killing its growing season, it needs this time to beef itself up for the winter period. Well, you cut it back now, it's the wrong time for doing it. It's a bird nesting season. So if we do go ahead with this, do a pollard, fine. It should be done in the winter period, not the bird nesting season. And I truthfully don't know why he's using this as an excuse around the cables to just say, I want to pull out the tree by 15%. Well, just say that. But also, they'll need a licence from the utility company as well to work so close to power cables. Because without a licence from the utility companies, they won't go anywhere near the power cables. So it's like
the tree officers should know.
Well, of course, he'll know that, I'm just saying at the meeting. So anything with power cables, we refer it straight through to utilities, which is South East Electricity, and if they send guys up from Plymouth, believe it or not, that's good green credentials, isn't it, to do the work. So, yeah, but if it's so bad, inform the utility companies and they'll do it for free.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, so I can't work it out, it's just so wrong.
But are you basically supporting me?
Well, I'll support the application.
I do think that 3 metres is
I
a
think
severe
well,
cut
it's
for a
15,
whole moat.
well, it says 15%, I think it's more than 15%, so it's a tricky one, this, because you cut the tree by 10 foot basically, so that's why for me to say past that television there. Well, if you think that you're cutting 10 foot off a tree, it's a lot. I think I would suggest we need professional advice on this one from a qualified tree surgeon, and also as something I'd say, well, if it's close to electricity cables or any of the BT cables, then the utility should be involved or informed, and they'll do it for free. And they employ a competent person to make an assessment, or they don't have to just come chopping down.
Well, we can put that
that's it.
that
So,
comment
that's it.
in our reply.
And that it's done in the winter season.
It's not a winter. It's a bird nesting season. It's not a winter season. So if we do decide to support it, which we can do, well, it's got to be cut down in winter. The utility's got to be involved, and we can't do a bird nesting season. So that's it.
Right. Does that find a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Hunter. And all those in favour? Well, that's unanimous. Thank you.
Street.
2W stroke 25 stroke 0054 stroke TCA 6 Blatchington Hill. Beech prune overhanging branches.
Well,
Lord.
yeah, future. It is what it is. It's the wrong time of year. Again, it doesn't say how many they're going to cut back, but just assume it's 1 or 2. It's the wrong time of year. It's bird nesting season. Yes, they can do it, but again, a few more geese will be a bit more helpful. But beech trees are tough as old boots there. Unless you cut them down the chainsaw as well.
We did a
Yeah,
photo.
yeah,
of this.
yeah.
What am I talking about, Jim?
Yeah.
Oh, well done there. Yeah, okay. That was taking some time about that.
But then I thought that, but then look at the other plants. The other plants are in full leaf for the time of year.
And
So I
it
wondered
looks
whether there's
unhealthy.
It's sad,
that's why I was
isn't it?
wondered if there was something actually wrong with that beech.
It's unhealthy, yeah.
When I looked at it this morning, you
I didn't
look
see
at
that,
the new
see.
growth.
Sorry.
And yeah, look at that spring growth. Where's that? There's something wrong with that beech tree.
I
I know beech are always late coming to leaf though as well.
Yeah, right. But yeah, to be honest, I didn't see that, to be honest, so...
Should we ask for a health assessment of the tree?
Yeah, risk assessment then, yeah. Yeah, let's have a look
Well,
at
it
that.
didn't say much. When I looked for the seasons, it didn't. When I was flicking it quickly, yeah, the picture made me a bit sort of like what's going on here. But yeah, I know they're notorious.
Because otherwise they're going to have to come back and go, actually, the trees... And
Okay, can we suggest that we leave it till the end of the growing season, which is November, then we can make an assessment probably next year. And if it's in the same condition next year, then I think we'll be cutting it down rather than...
Perhaps that's why they want to prune it,
well,
to
yeah.
give it a chance. But we haven't got that
No,
information.
we don't. And it should
and
be
no,
like-
and no birds are going to nest in there.
No, you can see there's no mess.
Well, that, if it's in bad condition, it should improve like last November.
Because I do know beech are very late to come in to leaf.
Yeah.
So I wonder whether, also we don't know when that picture was taken.
Right.
And tough as all boots
Are
as
we
well.
going to support this application? Silence.
Yeah.
Who would like to propose to support this
I'm
application?
deferring to the tree.
Can we put subject to such and
Yeah,
such? Yeah,
yeah.
go on in, Councillor Dawes.
Okay, I suggest we support it, subject to the fact that the work is carried out in a winter period, with a view that if we can't see any improvements in health,
Yeah.
then it will be down to a qualified tree surgeon to make an assessment on whether this particular person should remove the tree in its entirety.
With the pictures
Yeah,
supplied?
yeah.
Okay, does that find a
Those are
seconder?
already done with bottom right, so they're...
Does that find a seconder?
No, I think that's you.
Councillor Borman, all happy? And can I have a show of hands supporting the application?
You know, that
Thank
was
you.
unanimous. When the picture was blown up more, it was unanimous.
Was it?
Oh.
Right, we move on to page 6. Agenda item 5, to consider the East Sussex County Council's draft freight and rail strategies and consultation surveys, and to move to a vote on the motions below. Okay. And you have got Appendix A and Appendix B with the questionnaires. Appendix A is for the freight strategy on page 9. Would you like to say anything about this?
I haven't got too much more to add, only that I have spoken to a few other, I've heard from other parishes that they are going to be responding, especially Ringmer, in terms of the freight, because of how much the lorries go through the village. They've had quite a campaign going on there. But I haven't been able to find what they've said or what they're doing so that we can kind of look at how that, say, affects the A259. But that's all I have to add to that. So it's just whether the committee want to go through this survey and complete it, or whether you want to delegate to me to take away, and then I send it. I will draft something and send it round, and I can also look at some examples of what other parishes have been doing as well.
Finish, that's a good idea. Get all of them put together. So, what we don't see if say one thing when you say something else. If they're more or less in line with one another. But it's.
Can we do, instead of answering each individual question, can we do a...
That's how Ring was doing it. They're emailing a response because they couldn't find anything that was relevant to them. So I think maybe we do the same.
That's what I found. I thought, yeah. Councillor Richardson.
Thank you very much. Yes, you've obviously got the Seaford perspective in that sense, and you could argue, if you could talk about the freight one, I don't think Seaford's really ever had freight going back, unless you really go back a long time ago. At the moment, it's a single track line that does the last 3 miles or whatever it is from Newhaven Harbour to here. So we don't have freight facilities per se. You could almost argue if we were sitting in Newhaven, you could. You know, it depends on where we're coming from. You see what I mean? You've got the bigger picture all of East Sussex, which we're still entitled to do as an individual, of course, before the end of the month, aren't we? To apply if we really wanted to, as an individual or as an individual member of the public or councillor, as in our own person. If we can do that, if we really want to get into the detail. But Seaford Pacific, I don't know if you've got anything in mind yourself.
I just feel that once the exit bridges, the new exit bridge is completed, that more heavy lorries will be coming our way, and I don't think the A259 can cope with it.
It's not going to be weight limited like it is now.
Yeah, but I think when we had the plans for the new bridge, we did ask for a weight restriction so that it would stop that. But I don't think that was taken through.
No, I don't think it was.
Councillor Livian.
I don't know where it could be worded with this, but we used to have a problem near where we live, where there would be skip lorries coming up and down the roads, and in the end, that did get stopped. So if that can, whichever relevant section, we need to make sure that residential's roads aren't used as cut-throughs, basically.
It's also what we've got to be mindful of. We do have an industrial estate in Seaford, so lorries and vehicles do need access to that.
But they need to use
the main roads and not through
the
roads.
Residential.
And I mean, if the scenario is that heavy vehicles can go from here to Eastbourne and using the A259, if there is an accident, then those lorries are going to be diverting through the little villages, which is not going to be.
It's not going to around Bristol.
No.
I thought a 40-ton truck to
Wilmington.
Oh my God.
Yeah. A 40-ton container. And I thought, sorry, just digressing. I thought I was going to Rathbury Farm, and past her. It's driving, it's smashing every single tree going down into Alfriston. I thought, what's going on here? So Callaway, it drove straight to the centre of Alfriston. I couldn't believe it. I was panic station. Oh God,
I've seen them get stuck before.
I don't doubt,
So, is the committee mindful that Councillor Buchanan?
Oh, thank you, Chair. Just a couple of thoughts. There's one paragraph 2.8, and it's under 2 freight through Sussex. And it talks about the A259 will pass through several villages or large towns, for example, Bexhill and Newhaven. There's never any mention of Seaford in any of these things. Never.
It's always the way, isn't it?
It's because of the port of Newhaven, and they do try and get lorries to use the A26, and that's why technically it's meant to skip us.
Yes.
But it doesn't always.
Yes. And sorry, the other thought, does freight and all that kind, does that apply to tourists and coaches and stuff like that?
No, it's just freight.
That's a shame, isn't it?
I know where you're going.
So they're missing a trick there, aren't they?
Yeah. Any comments on the rail? Yeah. I'll just try and find it.
There seems to be only one.
On page 14, the rail strategy. Is any thoughts on that, Councillor?
Well, obviously the current government doesn't want to privatise, not to nationalise even as time goes on. But whether or not that has influence on what might happen for going forward, I'm not sure. We also know from their nationally from their plan yesterday, there's no extra money in the South Eastern transport, even in other areas the country got it. So I don't know if that's got any impact on where the money comes. And you might have mentioned devolution as well. That's going to have that can have an influence as well with transport possibly going to the elected mayor.
That is,
It is in the...
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of it, you could argue, you can do the survey, we could do it collectively, or we do it individually if we want to.
I think we just do it in one.
Yeah,
state.
I might do it personally if you
One
want
state,
to. But there's a lot of ifs and buts on the horizon, isn't there? So,
Any comment on the Council Buchanan?
From what I could see, as far as the trains are concerned, there was only one bit for Seaford, getting a free train to London, which is actually a good idea.
Yeah.
It used to be, didn't it?
Two used to be about 2 or
Used
3
to
of them.
be, yeah.
Two in the evening? Was it 2 in the evening once?
2 in the morning, 2 in the
The
evening.
one for London Bridge, one for
Yeah,
Victoria.
yeah. There used to be 2 in them.
Yeah.
Years and
It
years
used to be
ago.
2 in the morning, 2 in
Yeah,
the evening,
yeah.
and then something.
Then it went just down to...
It was 650, wasn't it? Something like
Yeah,
that.
something like that, yeah. And then it was just the first one on the cheap day return,
That's it, yeah.
8:20, Hopper
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, that'd be good to have a commuter train back again.
Well, it become within reach of London then, so we start getting
And
London
also,
prices.
Well, we have.
I don't keep up to date with the timetables now, but it used to happen that they cut back on the early morning train, so people working at Gatwick had to drive during the winter months before it was reinstated again for the summertime table. I'm not sure if that still happens, but I think we need to consider, commuters to Gatwick.
I mean, a lot of the commuters at Gatwick start 4, 5, 6 in the morning. I know it's
Yeah.
super early, aren't they?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
and that's probably one reason why they do live in Horsham Crawley.
Because they do
Yeah.
unsociable hours.
Yeah, absolutely, they
Yeah.
certainly do.
And sorry, Council, what they should do is hold the train at Brighton. When you come in from the train from London Victoria, right, I just pull in there. You walk across the station, you see the train drives in. Come on, just hold it for the 5 minutes. Everybody get off the London train, walk across the platform, get on the Seaford train. Oh no, you're going to wait till half an hour then. And I've written some about this. It's only an extra 5 minutes. Didn't get a reply. So there you go.
So we've got a little bit of
Yes,
information.
yeah, thank you.
So if this is,
Yeah.
puts that
Yeah.
together as a statement, and then if we circulate it, and then any
Yeah.
further
So,
comments,
that's
we go back.
I did absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a good idea, that's it.
So can I have a proposal for doing that? That's Councillor Lillian, seconded by Councillor Foreman, and a show of hands, please. And that's unanimous. Thank you, Lisa. So move on to the last agenda item 6, and to notify the committee of decisions taken by Lewis District Council on the applications previously considered by the committee. So you're asked to note the report unless
I think I'm going to say the same thing. That will let us go.
I'm disappointed in Lewis District Council when they note that it's reluctant approval and generally unacceptable, but approved it.
I think we've all picked up on that one. Yeah.
But I was happy with East Albany Road. We were like, can we have conditions if they're going to approve it? And the conditions are on there. But yes, Salisbury Road, sorry, I'm like, why?
Obviously, sorry for a year. I still feel like I'm relatively new, but it's been actually a year, I think, that I've been here now. I wanted to know what you do in that situation. Do we write to them? Do we
So
ask them about it, or just leave it?
Note it.
I think we need to respond to it, because otherwise it's going to happen again.
Sure, you've been brave.
I think it's because it's retrospective, and Lewis District Council won't want to
The hassle.
object to something that's already done, because then they've got to try and enforce it, which is why they've gone. But if it's generally unacceptable to do what they've done, they so
It should be either yes or no, not generally unacceptable. I'm sorry.
The concern would be about what that encourages others to do,
Yeah,
because it really is showing that they got away with something.
yeah. Yeah, and especially as it's in the public domain as well. Councillor Richard Hannigan?
Thank you, Chair. On the other one, regarding the annex, does annex really mean subservient then? Is that another way of thinking about what an annex really means? It says imposing an annex condition. Can you get that clarified?
I have had
what you've had a look
clarity from them before on other things.
on annex means, if you're going to be emailing them anyway.
So we asked it wasn't used for a separate
Well,
dwelling.
we always do anyway, generally, a matter of course, but maybe it's another word, isn't it? An annex is sort of like...
Because
we say
say
something
An annex
ancillary
can
to,
be used
don't we?
as-
Ancillary
yeah.
to the main
or
property.
subservient, yeah.
We often use that word subservient, don't we,
Yeah.
quite a bit these days. I don't know if they've got a agreed term, but what their preferences.
I have had that sent to me, it was quite a while ago, about complaint.
We used to always call them granny annexes, didn't we?
You used to,
Well,
yeah.
no, that's what we're saying. Well, you used to, because it used to be for a family member. It wasn't, and that, I think that's where it comes from. It's for family. It's not
Not to be like
Not to be
Airbnb or
for-
something. Or,
Joe Bloggs who wants to live there.
Right, I'm just going to put this up on the screen, because this is when I was asking about Stirling Avenue, when I was getting some complaints from a resident. So they say the term ancillary is quite fluid in the eyes of the law.
okay.
So they're quite loose with the term, basically.
Yeah.
In case that helps at all. This was, this was one that we concerned was going to be used. Something else, but I think they've got a family member that's actually moved in there, and the residents aren't happy because it's quite loud.
Was that the one on the corner? Quite a big plot on the corner spot, wasn't it? With a big outbuilding, wasn't it, or something? What I remember.
It's appealing now, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, any other do you want to make any other comments?
No, it's just, I'm happy to do that, maybe draft something and send it to you first before I send it to Lewis, if you're happy with that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you're asked to note the report.
Yeah.
Noted, show of hands.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And that concludes the meeting at 20:03, 3 minutes past 8.